Welcome to Grace, Love, and After the Service. I'm Pastor Eric Edwards.
I'm Andrew McCarty.
And I'm Josh Grafton.
Today's podcast is digging deeper into sermons preached at St. John. Today, our sermon is called Church Bars.
This one was given on July 2nd, 2023. So it's an oldie.
This is an oldie, but a goodie.
But a goodie.
This is before my time at St. John. And you led this sermon with Matthew chapter 10, verses 40 through 42. Okay, guys. So, Andrew, you're the one who brought this sermon up for discussion. So what was so impactful about this to you that you wanted to discuss it?
So a couple things. First of all, to all of my beloved Facebook followers, I am still waiting. The offer still stands because I shared this video not once, not twice, but thrice now.
Thrice
on Facebook. And I've offered to meet and talk about Jesus at a bar. The first round is on me, people. The first round is on me, but you're not taking advantage of this opportunity.
We could have had this conversation in a bar.
In a bar.
Oh, boy, did we screw that up.
Nobody will take me up on my offer. And I'm looking at the Facebook post now as we speak, and it says, sharing again because the offer still stands. Give this man 5 minutes and he will change your perspective on faith.
He's putting a lot of pressure on Pastor Eric here.
That's setting the bar really, really high.
That being said, if you'd rather meet at a bar to talk about Jesus, the first round is on me, and that offer still stands.
I can't believe no one took you up on a free beer.
Right?
You better hope this podcast does not get wildly popular. You can be broke and very inebriated.
This sermon was about 6 minutes long. That feels average for your sermons, but I'm not going to lie. When it started and you start with the quote, I heard at church that there's more people in bars than there are in church. I thought, oh boy, this one could be judgy.
Yeah.
But that was the context of that quote.
I get it.
I was visiting a congregation and it was this older gentleman who was just complaining that the attendance in the church had gone way down. And this was pre-COVID, so attendance, every church kind of took a dip right there during COVID as people got back into the swing of things. But that's where he started, was the problem is that there are more people in bars than in churches.
I think that's a very common thing.
It's a complaint as old as time. It's similar to kids these days. It's the church version of that.
Yeah. But we do that or blame sports.
Right, we'd rather complain about it than look in the mirror and ask ourselves why. Yes. And I think that this sermon was like the mirror. Like, instead of being like, there are more people in bars than churches, let's look at why. Yeah. And then when the why came out, it was like, you felt very like convicted. You were like, oh, okay.
Well, I've been on both sides of this, where I was in the bar and not in church. And now I'm in church and I'm not in the bar. And what I will say about the people in the bar, they don't know what we have to offer here. And it's really on us for not doing a good enough job saying, come here. This is what we can do for you. This is what Christ can do for you. This is what God can do for you. And that was really the point of this whole thing. And my main question for you, and it's a tough one, and I'm sorry, but what are they getting when they come here? Why should you come here instead of going to the bar or playing golf or doing whatever else you want to do?
Watching football on Sundays.
Well, we can do that after church. I do that after church. We keep it to a tight hour here. You're at home.
Pray real hard when the Steelers are in the Super Bowl. I think that the one thing that the church has that you cannot get anywhere else, it's not community, because you can get community in a lot of places, but you don't get Jesus focused. And one of the other things that the church and its community does is get you outside of yourself, right? Like, bars, country clubs, you name your venue, and I'm not speaking against any of those, but they're all about what your interest is. And, like I've had so many people say that they've left the church because they didn't get anything out of it. And when someone tells me they didn't get anything out of church, my first thought is actually good. You weren't there to get something out of it. You were there to give something to it. You were there to give praise. You were there to give worship. You were there to give support to others and love to others, and service to others, and grace, love, and service to others. See how we use that tagline? But that is what the church has to offer, and it has good news to offer.
So here's my pitch for your reason for coming here. you're right. It gets you out of yourself and serving others. And as someone in recovery, that is truly the symptom of you healing. And you're able to heal here and serve others. It helps you. It helps everybody. Andrew, what are
others? Yeah, you're serving others, but you're also serving something bigger than yourself or someone bigger than yourself.
Without the guilt. Right? Because a lot of times the church has not done well at this. The church has historically been very good at kind of guilting people into the better life, as opposed to saying,
doesn't work.
Jesus loves you so much, forgives you, gives you that grace. Now, what will you do with it?
It is good news indeed.
Right.
Yeah.
And one of the most impactful quotes from this sermon is, it was, one of like the things that really resonated with me, and the reason why I share it and continue to share it, and why I wanted to discuss it today. The bar doesn't care what I've done or what my status is outside of the bar. In the bar, I can be who I am. I am welcomed without question. The more broken, the better.
Yes.
And that truly was the point where I was like, yeah, this is one of the good ones. But church should be the place where the more broken, the better. Right?
Absolutely.
Bring us your tired and your poor.
Andrew, I literally wrote, give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses, and the more broken, the better.
Right. I mean, that's truly what it means to be a Christian. We are here for you, and we're here to support you. I don't think historically maybe it's gone maybe according to that plan, but I don't know. I think we're out to change that.
I think one of the things that is really good too is to kind of, it's a place where we can also recognize our own brokenness and recognize it as brokenness, because once we can do that, we can be like, it's amazing that I'm allowed to be broken and I'm wanted here, not just by the people in the pews, but by the Christ that they came to worship. That no matter what I've done, it doesn't make me unworthy to be here. No matter what I think, no matter what I continue to do, it doesn't make me unworthy to be in the presence of Christ.
This is a safe space to acknowledge and name those things and work on them with us. And
The first time I shared this on Facebook, I said, if you or any of your family members have ever felt like you don't belong or that you did not have a place in church, I invite you to join my family and I at St. John. Let's change that. That was the quote that I used. And again, the offer still stands. I think that's a very powerful representation of what we're going for, by dissecting this, is because if you've never felt comfortable in a church, or if you feel like when you walk through the door, you're going to face that judgment, then by all means, come to St. John, because I don't think that you will feel that judgment, or I don't think that you will feel uncomfortable. We're going to welcome you with open arms. So if you have any hesitations or anything about even checking it out, just pop in. We'd love to see you.
My wife used this phrase of our church years ago, and it has stuck with me. She said she looked around one Sunday and just thought, we are the land of misfit toys.
Perfect.
My prayer is that this wouldn't be a St. John thing, and I'm trying not to lift it up as this is some utopian church, because we have our brokenness within the family as well. We are not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. And is there a chance that we're going to hurt somebody in the process? Absolutely. We're not perfect, therefore we screw up. But the hope and the prayer is that you could walk in to any church and understand that love of Christ that surpasses anything that you've done. The difference with bars too is that you can walk into any bar and it's okay. Right? I mean, there are themed bars and things like that, and there are bars that kind of specialize in specific clientele, but no one's like, oh, you are not X, Y, and Z, get out. And unfortunately, the church has not historically, and not just St. John, but the church historically has not done a great job at saying you're wanted here, not you're tolerated here, because there's nothing worse than that love the sinner, hate the sin thing.
Are you trying to make me scream?
That is my pet peeve. No, just love everyone.
Yeah,
I
period.
don't yes, you don't put the we'll love you and change you. We don't want to change you.
No.
Jesus made you who you are. Come and worship that Lord.
The quote was, another quote was, make the church a place where everyone feels welcome the moment they walk through the door.
So my question, another question then for you, Pastor Eric, is how do we do that? How do we show that when somebody new walks in the door looking for a place to call home?
You have about 7 seconds to prove that somebody is welcome in the door. And the first thing is simply coming to them. Don't expect them to come to you. You know, a lot of times we sort of get in this like, well, we'll let him get in the door. We'll let him get acclimated. We'll let him, you know, like, but if you notice, like we put like that welcome center with like the ushers like at the door, right? Because the first thing you should hear is welcome. And that eye contact, that going to someone, you know, we used to have, she's one of our shut-ins now, and God bless her, her name is Barb. And Barb was a force to be reckoned with when it came to people visiting the church. They would walk through the doors
at the door.
And Barb would come at you like a linebacker. Like she would just come straight at you and welcome to church. I see that you're new. I mean, you know, she was our oldest member. And so she knew who was new, and she would be like, oh, welcome to church. And she wouldn't just be like, welcome to church, go find a seat, hope it's not someone else's, that type of a thing. Like she would
This is my seat.
Right? She'd be like, will you sit with me?
That's nice.
Yeah.
That's very nice.
Yeah, and it wasn't, can I sit with you? It was, will you sit with me? Will you come and be a part of my worship experience? And she would sit next to them. She'd kind of like walk them through things a little bit. She would do something that is very underestimated in welcoming people into church, which is letting them know where the bathrooms are.
It's a great idea.
You know, like she'd be like, before we go in, if you need to use the restrooms, they're over there. You know, I sit over here. I'd love to have you with me in my pew. Join me and my family. You know, and it was connection, because it wasn't, welcome to St. John. We need butts in our pews, and we need new people, and our budget is struggling. Please become, right, exactly right. We're like, please join us for the love of God. God sent you here to save us.
Please don't leave.
Right? And the first thing you want to do is be like, I'm out. Like, where's the door?
Yeah.
But it was come be part of my family.
Yeah.
And it was intimate.
When we first started
important.
coming to St. John, you had talked to my mom beforehand about it, and you had asked, is there anything that you want to know? Mm-hmm. And then like when we came in on the first day, we were welcomed, and you said after the service, if you have any questions, please let me know, like about anything that you saw or any of the way things proceeded. Mm-hmm. And then when you greet people every morning, you do this still to this day. You always say, you know, good morning, welcome to St. John. If you're a special guest, we welcome you and thank you all for joining us for
all
worship
guests
today.
Are special guests.
Right. If you're a guest with us, you know, a special welcome. Right. And that you literally, those are the first words out of your mouth for every service, and that just made us feel welcome, like we were here for a reason.
Well, and it's a small congregation right now, and so, you know, like, it's easy to find the new people.
Yeah.
But I think one of the fears that especially like longtime members have, or members who are, you know, like if you got kids and you're chasing them around half of the Sunday type of a thing, you don't always get a chance to like get to know everybody all the time. And so it's the fear that you're going to go up to someone and be like, hi, welcome to church. I'm glad you're visiting with us. And they're like, I've been a member here for 35 years. And you're like, well, you don't come. But you know, there's kind of that fear of like, what if they're here every Sunday and I just don't know?
Right.
I would much rather you welcome someone to church who is here every Sunday than not welcome someone who's not. So
yeah, fair enough. Interesting though, 7 seconds, you have a chance to make this big of a difference in somebody's life. If you wouldn't have interrupted me or assaulted me the first 7 seconds I came here.
Like a linebacker.
No, you didn't. When I came in here, I think it was probably Fred or normal ushers who shook my hand, and then my wife didn't want to talk to the pastor. She didn't want to talk to anybody.
I'm a scary dude.
So I was like, in my head, I'm like, that guy's wearing robes. I bet he's the pastor. I don't know though, but I'm going to walk up and I'm like, hi, I'm Josh, and this is my wife, Jessica. And I could just feel the heat coming off of her. But hey, she's baking cookies and stuff now and participating in all the stuff we do. So worked out.
And I would say it's hard for me to be on the other end of that, because I have always been in that role in this church. And so I lose the idea of like, you assume that you're being welcoming, but the only people that can tell you if you're welcoming are the people coming in. Like, you can't be like, well, we welcome everyone who comes in. That's up to them to know if they've been welcomed.
Yeah.
And something that may seem very welcoming can be very off-putting to some people.
Well, you're wearing the robes, and you don't know what they've been hurt by in the past either. They could have been hurt by somebody in your
Wearing
position.
the robes,
yeah. So it's you got a line to walk, and I think I don't know who Barb is, but I like her method. We need to find another Barb.
There will never be another Barb. Barb Stevens, if you are listening to this, may God bless your heart. I love Barb. She's still with us. She's a shut-in. But
I get my kids out of the lobby as fast as I can. I don't want anybody to walk in and see them running around and then turn right back around and leave.
That's funny because I want the exact opposite. I think the best advertisement for a church is kids running around. Like today after church, we had. There was cake after church. It was someone's 75th birthday. We celebrated that. We had cake. And so the kids are sugared up, right? And I think the best thing in the world is when people walk in and they're like, there are kids running around in here. Great, because they'll run around when they're older too. Mm-hmm. Like the last thing you ever want to do is be like, get those kids quiet. Mm-hmm. No, make those kids make sound, because those kids are the future of the church. They're not even the future of the church. They're the present of the church.
Yeah. One of the things I had written down actually was the church that I attended prior to here, Longs Run Trinity. There was always a smiling face greeting you at the door. Every time you walked in, you felt welcomed. You felt like family there. There was always greeters at the door. It just was always very warm and inviting. But one time we had a guest speaker come. He was a former pastor at Longs Run, but he was giving a sermon, and a little baby started to cry. So the mom stood up and started to walk out and started to take the baby out. And he was like, "Where are you going?" "I don't mind. It's not bothering me any." And I just thought that was something that was like unheard of, like very, like, you could tell the mom was flustered and embarrassed, but like,
oh, you do get flustered and embarrassed.
As a parent, I can't even imagine. Yeah. But he was like, "Where are you going?" Like, "It's okay. Like stay, please."
Like Jesus says, like, let these children come to me, like
this is our future right here. So I thought that was very cool. But I did have that written down.
I walked in here with a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 1-year-old. And it was a lot, and they'd never been in the church setting before, and
they're waiting for the stink eye, right?
They brought the level of chaos you would expect, and the level of frustration with their mother and I that you would expect, and nobody has ever, not once in the almost 2 years I've been here, said anything but positive things about having those kids here.
Yep.
And that is a huge deal to my wife, and a big reason why she comes back, because she's like, our family is loved and accepted for what it is, and almost celebrated at times.
Well, and you have kids like that. You have, like, I have a child who has autism. You fully accepted, and when he was younger and was having meltdowns, the congregation just loved him through it. We have a child with Down syndrome who I don't think could be more embraced if we tried. I mean, like, she is just loved to pieces in here. Today during worship, we had kids talking at full volume, and as much as kind of like yes, is there some distraction? Absolutely, but is it blessed distraction? Absolutely. And like that kid belongs in our church bar.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And like they're never going to learn unless they come to church. If they've never been in that setting, or if they've grown up in that setting. I remember times where my mom would snatch my sister and I out, because we'd get in a little like scuffle or a little shoving war in the pew or whatever. Man, she'd snatch us up out of those seats because we had to learn. Like, that's, this is not the place. This is not the time. Mm-hmm. This is a place of reverence, and they're never going to learn if they don't get exposed to that. So I think it's great.
Absolutely. And their parents couldn't be here if that were the case, right? And Josh is like getting ready to eat the microphone. He's like up on it, like, I gotta.
The Sunday school that happens during worship now is huge for us as parents, and lets us actually participate in the service. Whereas before, because I think we just went to this model recently, like within the last year.
That was my wife's idea. Yeah,
it was brilliant. It was a great idea because it was mostly us just getting frustrated with our kids for an hour, and now it's like they're in there contained, and they're telling me they're having a great time, and they look forward to it. And I'm not hearing any complaints about the way they're behaving in that Sunday school room.
They're learning in there too. Because what the section that we kind of take them during is the sermon piece, and it allows the adult parents to be able to take that sermon in, but it's also that sermon a lot of times is going to be over that kid's head. And so let's give them something at the same time that says this is, like we can teach them the same lesson in there, but to do it as like an extended children's sermon type of thing.
Yep. Something at their level that they'll understand. And then they do come back and join us for like communion, and which allows like the families to take communion together, which I think is a really beautiful thing. Because
the last thing we want to do, right, we're going to go back to this church bars idea.
Right.
The last thing that we want to do is when we gather people around that altar, and we're literally having wine, right? Like this is the church bar moment, is to say, as a child, you're not welcome here.
Yep.
You need to be in the other room. You need to be off somewhere quiet where you can make sound because that's your brokenness. Instead, we're saying we're going to stop everything of whatever you're doing in there and have you in here because we want you at this church bar. Like you belong here.
We literally have bars around our altar.
Literally, right? I was thinking of myself more as a bartender in church than...
Well, you don't give the wine. You're just giving the...
I get to give the wine to some people, and I do appreciate that. But yeah, I'm like the church stewardess, like peanuts, popcorn.
It means the world to them that they get to come up there because it makes them feel. I think it makes them feel grown up.
Yeah,
because they're up there with us,
But it is right. Like one of the things that I talked about this in another sermon during like the Thanksgiving time of the year, is that when we do Thanksgiving dinners, a lot of the times, like, did you guys have the kids' table at your house?
Yeah.
Right? Like, this is the adults' table. This is where the food is. This is where knives can be trusted. This is where people get the fancy drinks. This is where people, this is the adults' area. We're going to put the kids in the basement at the kiddie table, right?
Yep. Like, you're not part of this like, it doesn't make any sense.
Right? We've literally, like, excommunicated you to the basement, right? In the church, the very last message we want to send, especially to a kid, is that you don't belong here, right? Like this is a moment where everyone is invited to be here. And are any of us holy enough to deserve to be there? Absolutely not. But
who are we to decide?
Right? But Jesus is, and Jesus has brought us all to this altar today. It doesn't matter your age, doesn't matter your gender, it doesn't matter your sexual preference, it doesn't matter the color of your skin, it doesn't matter any of those things that matter outside of these walls in our culture. None of that matters when we walk through because the only thing that matters is child of God.
You heard it here first.
Are you ready for...
Hopefully you didn't hear it here first. Or hopefully you've been hearing this your whole life. But
I truly think that this might be the first time that some people have heard that.
I agree with that.
And I hope that if they hear it, then they finally do take me up on my offer or just come check us out.
So I'm going to talk about Jesus and have a beer with you. I don't know, man.
So we've established that we are welcoming. We are. Like as soon as you walk in the door, those first 7 seconds, get ready to shake hands.
We try to be.
I'll show you where the hand sanitizer is after you're done shaking everybody's hand. But
and where the bathroom is.
One of and you can look at our demographics and know that we're welcoming. We've got people that are young, old, people in recovery, people that are probably still in addiction. We really do welcome everybody. You can look at us, you can talk to anybody here. One of the criticisms I hear of that, I hear a lot of criticism of this among other Christians, different denominations, people I work with, people I just know.
Come at me, bro.
That say you're enabling sin. You're not helping these people. And I don't agree with what I'm saying right now. I'm just posing this to you for your rebuttal. Because the common thing when people hear this, they let... say gay people or people that are still in addiction and actively harming their family emotionally, whatever, you're enabling these people by welcoming them and loving them.
I also had that written down because I feel like this message opens the door to a lot of that. And as I was like writing down questions, I was thinking like, how could I play like, devil's advocate, no pun intended.
You don't have to, because there's plenty of people that are just going to do it.
Right. And like people that say that, like,
what do we say to them?
Say to them, or what would we say to them?
The first thing that I want to make blatantly clear right now, because you were tossing what people usually toss out there, and I'm going to reiterate the fact that is not the way that Josh feels.
Correct.
He is echoing statements that have been made before.
Half the things they're calling sin, I don't even think is actually a sin.
That's where I wanted to go with it, because what I don't want to connect together are LGBTQIA.
Correct.
and the addict who's hurting their family, because people who are LGBTQIA are not hurting families. They are making families. That you don't do anyone damage by loving another human being. It just doesn't work that way. So, and again,
You, I, and Andrew are evolved enough to know this.
yes,
Not everybody is.
I want to make it clear to the hearer today.
Correct.
Dear listener, we do not believe that people who are LGBTQIA are going to hell, that it is this massive sin, that it is on the same wavelength as people who are killing each other and doing terrible things to each other. So love is love. We're going to stick with that. So, but to get back to the question here of how do you refute that, is it's not enabling somebody to welcome and love them. If there is sin in someone's life, and yes, it's in everyone's life, one, I'm not going to be the first person to cast that stone because I got enough sin of my own to deal with, let alone your sin. Maybe start to view the church more like a hospital. You would never say you are too sick to go to the hospital. You know, like I had a seminary professor who said that saying that inviting everyone into your church is wrong and that should not be the way that things happen is like saying, I'm not going to the gym because of all the fat people there.
Wait a minute. You had a seminary professor who said it was wrong to invite everybody?
No, he's saying to say that.
Oh, I misheard you. Okay.
Is the same as saying I don't go to the gym because of all the fat out of shape people. You know, like I don't go to the hospital because of all the sick people. I don't go to, you know, like the church is where sinful people belong. If you're going to classify things as a sin.
Well, we've all got it. So
absolutely,
literally everyone belongs here.
I'm too busy dealing with my own sin to deal with yours.
Wow.
That's not how a lot of people.
I like your hospital analogy because Jesus himself said, I didn't come for the healthy. I came for the sick.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I misquoted that, but that's the gist of it.
I've heard in my life somebody actually say, it's my job as a Christian to ensure that, you know, if they're sinning or if they're doing this, that I condemn them or I am the one to, I guess.
That's not what Jesus
is
says.
Casting the first stone.
I was going to say, I'll take this one.
Like yeah, right.
Wrong.
In my life, there's been somebody that said, you know, if I can stop them from doing this or if I can do this or whatever, you know, like that's my job to be that person. And I
Josh and I both like,
well, last Sunday's sermon was about being salt, and it was about, you don't sit there and say, well, it's not my place to say anything when you see something going on, or there's a way that you can help. So there is a fine line to walk here. But again, I mean, I think a lot of times when they're talking about these sins, they're talking about things that are not actually sins.
yes.
And that's really the problem here. And then they throw one or two quotes out of that whole book at you.
The Bible, the Bible thumping quotes.
Yeah, what do you call them? The clobber text, where they pick one line out of this massive book written by all these people, and that's what they're latching onto because it's just what they want to believe. But
we've done that since the beginning of time. Anything that makes us uncomfortable,
we're going
to classify as sin because our strange belief says, if I'm uncomfortable with it, God must be too.
yes.
It feels unnatural to me, therefore it's unnatural to
One
me.
of the hardest things to do in my experience as a Christian is decide or discern, am I offended on behalf of God or am I just offended? And 99% of the time, it's literally me being offended by something.
Nobody needs to be offended on behalf of God. God is God. If God can't tend to God's own stuff, then he needs a new job.
Agreed. But yeah, I don't know. It's a lot.
Bringing it back.
I think this is what it comes down to the church bars thing, is love them all, let God sort them out.
Yeah.
You know, like
He'll figure it out.
It's not my job to figure out whether or not you are going to hell. That's God's job. And as Lutherans, we would say, we know that already, right? You are a baptized child of God. That's irrevocable. You are baptized. Therefore, God says, I love you. And don't put limits on my grace. Don't put limits on my love. Don't put limits on what I can forgive. Just love people because the biggest sin out there is the inability to love someone else. So the only thing that we should be condemning is condemnation. Does that make sense? Like, I'm being judgmental about judgmental people. Right. I get that. But like,
you can go round and round with that. Right. You can spiral in that forever.
Right. But that's the biggest enemy of the church. That is the biggest reason why people don't come to church, is because the church is full of judgment.
Well, that's the other thing about the people sitting in bars, again, which I was one of them. You have a secular view of what Christians are, and the number one thing that's going to come to everybody's mind is judgy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You don't want to go anywhere near, and if you're in a bar, you've probably got a lot to be judged in your own mind, and you don't want to come to the place where they're going to do it for you.
If you're doing heavy drinking, a lot of times it's because you're judging yourself.
Oh, absolutely. That's why I was.
And I think that's what stops people from coming in too, is the self-judgment of, I'm not really afraid if they're going to judge me. It's I judge myself so harshly that I don't deserve to be in this place with these people.
I don't deserve to get better.
When you say that.
What?
We're both staring at Andrew.
Because I was literally going to bring that up.
No, I saw that in your eyes. That's why I was looking at you.
I was literally going to say, like, a lot of times, like, for me, I'm my own biggest critic. Like, I don't feel like I belong here. I don't think that I belong here. I don't.
I feel unworthy all the time.
Yeah. You don't feel like you belong at that table. And then you have to remind yourself that, there aren't these qualifiers. There are not these invisible, like, buts, so to speak. Like, we welcome everybody but this person.
But myself.
Or we welcome everybody but this person. Or we welcome everybody but this person. Like, everybody, period. Like, including me and all my faults and all my sin and all of my doubt and all of my, all of it. Just all of it.
And you don't have to answer this question out loud. But if you're one of the listeners right now and you're thinking the exact same thing, because I think a lot of us do, is take a moment today and ask yourself, whose voice is it that I hear that in, right? Whose voice is it that I hear I'm not worthy to be there? Because a lot of times it's not our own voice. It's a voice we've heard in the past.
Oh, I'll bet you a beer it's your dad or your mom most of the time, or a teacher.
Or somebody in the church. Because we are our own worst enemy with this. Mm-hmm. Because it takes so much to get someone through the doors the first time. It takes one comment to lose them forever.
And not to even judge those people. They're doing the best they can, and they think they're being helpful. Yeah, you go to a bar to escape, and I would say you come here to actively deal and confront things.
Or to escape.
Yeah, I would argue.
You could escape here too.
I can escape a culture that tells me that I am absolutely wrong all the time for either being who I am or who I love or what I do.
But that isn't escaping. That takes courage and strength to come in here and do that.
But I can escape that culture and into the loving arms of Christ.
Yeah.
When I'm in worship, and we talked about this when I was on the interview, that moment when, during the holy, 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 like, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Like, you are literally in the presence of Christ. And to me, there's no better feeling during my week than putting everything else that's going on outside of my life behind me. And during that moment, it's just me and Jesus. Like, we are about to have communion together, and we are about to just get over all of those sinful things that we've done over the course of the week. One of the things that you said in your sermon, shots in bars take life away. Our shots give life to all. That was one of the good quotes. And I remember...
That's such a pastor quote.
Come to St. John, get a shot of Manischewitz Red, baby.
Yeah. My dad was at church the Sunday that you gave this sermon, and he doesn't attend church regularly with us, but I vividly remember him getting a chuckle out of that line. If you come to church, I'll give you a shot of wine for free. You go to a bar, you're going to pay, $6 or $7 for a shot. You come to church, we'll give you a shot for free.
Right.
And I think you said something
between wine and grape juice.
You said something along the lines of a shot that's better than any shot of alcohol or anything, in the world or whatever. Our shot gives life.
And it is darn good wine. we put a lot of work into finding a wine that's palatable for all.
I wouldn't know. I'm a grape juice guy.
Oh,
we go only the very best grape juice too.
It is good grape juice.
It is prime Welch's.
Yeah.
Every Sunday, it's the first thing that goes into my mouth other than coffee. So it's usually a sugar shot as soon as it hits my lips.
Nice.
And in your sermon, you also said when we fellowship and worship, we're one body in Christ, and we're amongst our people, and people in bars are amongst their people. And I got to say, it's one of the biggest surprises to me as a newer Christian is how fulfilling the conversations, the interactions, and just the relationships are with you guys. I mean, you're not having these types of conversations in the bar. You're just not. You're talking about what's on the TV and the game and, the problems in your life probably. But here, I mean, some of the stuff I've aired in our Bible study group, yeah, I can testify to the fact that, like, nobody in there's ever balked at anything I said. Like, they usually run towards whatever pain somebody airs at that table or in the narthex.
That's an intimate group, that Bible study group.
But I've seen it everywhere here. Like, they will run towards your pain.
Yeah.
They will hold your hand as you walk through this stuff. And
it's an empathy. I mean, you can empathize with them, even if you haven't lived that exact.
It's just a surprise to me coming from the outside, thinking everyone was going to be judgy, and not a single person here that has not been my experience with anybody. I think I've covered the whole congregation at this point. I think I've talked to everyone at some point.
I am here because I want to be here. I'm not here out of habit. I'm not here because my parents made me go. None of that. I am here because when I am not here, everything is wrong. This is home. I walk through the doors of this church, and it's like the experience of walking or of coming home like on Thanksgiving, and like the smells, the sights, the sounds, the people. You're just like, oh, this is right. This is where I belong. This is my Cheers, right? This is where everybody knows your name. You walk in and they're like, Norm. That's what I want the church to be for everyone. Is I want Andrew to walk in and everyone to be like, Andrew.
It does not take long for it to feel that way here.
Brother, I'm broken. We'll be broken together.
And I know.
Yeah. We'll be broken together.
I appreciate that. And that's why I trust and believe in the things that we talk about. And
it's true. Because you don't get that.
You've only strengthened my faith, and the more open and vulnerable you are, the more it helps me. And I know it helps my wife tremendously. So
give us your tired and your poor.
And your huddled masses.
We'll give them a shot.
Give me all the broken people, all the broken toys out there.
The land of misfit toys wants you. We encourage even our younger kids, we teach them about other faiths and other denominations, because if this church isn't where you feel at home, this isn't there's some, I feel a little bit of a different way, I think a little bit of a different way, then let's hook you up with somewhere that does.
All right, so we've discussed this sermon. We've asked you some hard questions, some fun questions. The final question, and I think we're going to ask this every time, is what was your takeaway? Why did you write that? What was the most impactful thing you wanted us to take away from that sermon?
I think the takeaway from this one is twofold. One is on the church's part, which is if we want people in the church, and not just at St. John, but in the church overall, it's going to be welcome or die. So welcome everyone or die as a church. Those are going to be our two options. Become the church bar. Become the place that everybody wants to be on Sunday morning because they're welcome there. The second thing I want is for the listener who is debating whether or not it's time to return to church, whether that's St. John or whether that's to some other church, is go. And if you encounter any type of pushback from the people in that place, go till you find a place where you don't. But go find a place where you belong, because the people of Christ do not always speak for Christ. The Jesus who we serve loves you even when the people of the church do not. So go. Find your church bar is what I want you, dear listener, to take away. And as you go on your way, as always, may Christ go with you. Christ before you to lead you, Christ behind you to encourage you, Christ beside you to befriend you, Christ above you to watch over you, and Christ within you to give you peace. Amen.
Amen.